Well, here we are. The canopy is open. We're getting ready for a flight. Pre-flight has already been done. And let's see, I get a little bit of a wind from that would be the northwest. We're at a place called Cougar Mountain Private Airport, 49 Whiskey Alpha. And the sailplane is the Aerosoft ASK-21. And right now, as you can see from the menus, I'm selecting some things out of Cumulus X because I do use Cumulus X with my flight simulator. The scenery is Orbix. I also have Orbix trees. A little green stripe down at the bottom. I have no idea what that is, but I don't like it. Now, as you see, the rudder pedals are modeled quite well. And if you look at the little tube down there that I guess I should have pointed out earlier, that's what allows you to adjust the foot pedals in the ASK-21. So we have the altimeter is set for 434 feet, airport elevation, no ballast, no, let's see what else. Seatbelts are tight. Let's see, the controls are free and correct, which you'll see in a moment. Communication has been checked. And let's see here, what else are we going to do? The canopy is closed. Right there, that's that stripe I don't like. I have no idea what that artifact is all about. Just got something to do with the program, I reckon. Okay. In a moment, we will connect to the tow plane, and we'll take off. Okay, come on, check the controls. Don't forget anything. Okay, there you go. The spoilers are variable, as they should be. They allow you to modulate them as you land, or for whatever other purpose. The little gray knob down there at the bottom is actually the adjustment knob for the brakes, or for the rudder pedals. As you see, I'm checking the controls for free and correct. Now, normally the wing runner would be watching the control surfaces as I check them and would confirm what I see. As you'll notice also right now, the left wing is in the ground, so I throw complete right stick just to get started, and I will be putting some right rudder in. What will happen as soon as I get aerodynamic control, the wing will come up, and there it is. Okay, it comes up at about that speed in the real ASK-21 also. In a little bit I'll be airborne, and there we go. I am now airborne, trying to follow the tow plane. I haven't got a whole lot of choice actually. And we are climbing. Now we're at 100 feet. Dangerous place to be if tow rope breaks. But now we're at about 200 feet and we could land either to the right or probably turn around and catch the runway going back. Hard to say. Straight ahead looks pretty good though. Now, as soon as we get to 1,000 feet, I'm going to practice a maneuver called boxing the wake, in which I describe a box around the tow plane wake with my glider. Now, you'll notice how the tow plane and the glider kind of bounce up and down in relation to one another. That's the way it works in real life also. There's a lot of variations. I think if people could see the wind, flying airplanes would be real easy. But, you know, I've never been able to see the wind. Okay, I'm now dropping to the low tow position. And I'm going to move out to the starboard wing. And then I'm going to hang out there for a little bit and try to align the tail wheel of the airplane with the left landing gear. Okay, and we're bouncing around a bit. Now, I want to tell you something I don't like about this in a minute. When I dropped down below the wake, there was really no turbulence, and in real life there's a lot of turbulence when you do that. It'd be nice if they could have modeled that into it, but I don't have any idea how they do any of this. Okay, now I'm going to cross over to the port wing. I'm going to hang out there for a few seconds. Bouncing around, of course. A little high right now, but not too high. Now I'm going to drop. My computer's making all sorts of noises I don't want it to make during the edit. And let's see here. Okay, now I'm at the left low toe position. I'm going back over to the center. Now, when I come to the center, you may hear some wind sounds. I mean, in a real ASK-21, you hear a lot of wind sounds, and it's the wake kicked up by the propeller. If you've ever stood behind a propeller aircraft and caught the wind off of the propeller, you'd know it's pretty rough and it's pretty ferocious. And there you go. That was probably a pretty decent boxing of the wake. Got to be able to do that to get your rating, as I understand it. So I got a lot more practicing to do in the real ASK-21. So let's see. Right now, we're going to continue on the tow into about 2,200 feet, then we'll release. And we're just about there right now. Coming up just in about 100 more feet. There it goes, right there. We have released. Now, here's another complaint I have about this aircraft, this FSX model, is that if you look at the upper left corner of the instrument panel, that's the instrument called the variometer. The variometer in this model never shows anything other than 2 knots in straight and level flight. Now, there is no real such thing as straight and level flight in a glider anyway. I mean, you're kind of going down all the time. If the air coming up meets you, you might be able to balance it out. But in real life, I'm able to fly the ASK-21s that we have at Eagleville, Tennessee in minimum sync. Okay, that's what it sounds like, by the way, when the window gets left open. Sometimes it's a lot louder than that. I thought that was pretty neat that they put that in there. Okay. Now I opened it, by the way, with the cursor, the mouse. Now it's shut again, it's quiet, and we'll open up the little window now. And that makes a little less noise. It'll give you a little ventilation inside the cockpit. Now there's some popping going on in the noise, and I have no idea what that is. It's probably some sort of a Flight Simulator 10 thing. So now we're going to do a little bit of flying, but in this particular flight I found no lift. And I kind of like it that way, because sometimes when you fly in real life you find no lift. Right now I'm doing about 47 knots or so. And looking for lift a lot of times I tend to just puddle around at that speed. Now if you're actually going thermal to thermal, you would do it faster than that. But I'm not really going thermal to thermal because I'm not finding any thermals. Some days you don't find lift. Some days you just fly around forever and nothing happens. Okay, now I haven't done this in the Close 21 yet, but I hope someday to be able to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a loop. And what I'm doing also here is I've cut a bunch of just flying around. You cut the length of the video down, and you're going to see the home airport in a moment, which is right over there, that kind of guitar shaped thing, right now at 12 o'clock. So we're going to do a loop. Nose goes down, increase the airspeed, when we get to 100 knots I'm going to pull back on the stick, and away we go. Kind of neat to be able to do that. And hopefully I'm going to roll right back out on the heading of the airport. Oh, there it is. How about that? Okay, at this point I'm just going to go ahead and continue on to the airport. I'm about 1,500 feet AGL, which is, you know, enough for messing around, but obviously I'm going to lose that altitude. One day a lady came to the airport and she was asking questions about the glider. She said, well, how do you get them up in the air if they don't have an engine? And I said to her, you know, we got an airplane that tows them up in the air. And then she immediately said, well, how do they get down? And I immediately answered, gravity. Because that does seem to be a the deal there. Okay, I'm pulling out a little bit of spoiler to lose some altitude, and we'll try to get down to 1,000 feet, which pattern altitude, and I'm about maybe 300 feet above that right now. And I probably would have announced my intentions also about 2 miles from the airport, but I haven't done that. So what I'm going to do right here is, okay, we're about to turn downwind for a landing here at Cougar Mountain, and I would announce Cougar Mountain traffic, November 30 Bravo Romeo, turning downwind for runway 36 Cougar Mountain. And that would pretty much cover it. Here's the deal on this. The landing checklist, first part is undercarriage. I don't have a problem there because I don't have retractable landing gear. Second part is flaps. I don't have flaps in this particular aircraft. Third part is important, airspeed. And right now I'm about 55 knots. I'm going to ramp it up to about 60 here pretty quickly. And I'm going to make sort of a high approach to the runway. And I'm turning base to Cougar Mountain right now, base turn. And we'll continue on to the final because I'm fairly close in. Base to final is kind of sloppy. I am looking around for other traffic. I don't see any. And in FSX, you can see traffic. There's plenty of traffic around. Okay. Now, you notice I'm pretty high. But my aiming point is right about the middle of the runway because I know how far the run out is going to be. And if you'll notice also, the airspeed indicator says just a tiny bit over 60 knots. Okay. Well, 65 there, but that won't matter in a second. Here we go. We're going to flare and touch down nice and easily. Airspeed is very important because in the glider, if you lose your airspeed, you can't get it back if you don't have enough altitude. Now, as you notice, the spoiler handle is all the way back just then. That is where the brakes are engaged in an ASK-21. Pull the spoiler handle all the way back and the brakes are activated. The brake is activated. There's only one wheel with a brake on it, and that's the main wheel. I thought I'd throw this part in. It's just an instant replay of the landing. I like to do that if I have time. The hard part with YouTube videos is doing the editing. So what don't I like? I don't like the lack of turbulence on boxing the wake. I don't like the fact that I can never get the thing to maneuver in minimum sync, which would be around about a half a knot. And the sync is always showing up as 2 knots no matter what you do, unless of course you've got a thermal. Now I'm going to put another video up soon that shows Cumulus X creating thermals. By the way, that is not a slip to a landing. That is just the way that FSX instant replay does. And there we go, right there. It's like my instructor says, just kiss the grass, kiss the grass. And it's got to be screaming at you. Okay, and over on one wing. And we're kind of through with the flight, I'd say. Yeah, how about that? Well, I'm kind of tired of listening to the variometer, so let's turn it off. There we go. And there we are. We're home at Cougar Mountain. Now, where the heck is that tug to haul me back to the hangar? Well, he'll be along shortly, I guess. My buddy and I will just kind of sit here and soak in the atmosphere of a Washington afternoon. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.